Okay, today I want to talk to you about a Dodge Grand Caravan transmission failure. This transmission right here is out of a Dodge Grand Caravan and is called a 62TE. 3.6 liter Grand Caravan 6-speed front wheel drive unit. And also these transmissions are also found in the all-wheel drive units as well. This is what they look like when they're out of the car. This transmission right here left our customer sitting when it got hot. It wouldn't move. It started slipping real bad. It's a pretty bulky thing. They do not have a dipstick. You pull this out and you use a tool to go down here and check your fluid. You still access it from underneath the hood. So what we're currently doing now is we're replacing these transmissions with remanufactured ones, and I'll show you that in just a second. The most common failure these things are having that I'm seeing is this component right here, which is called the torque converter. I'll show you that in just a second too. The torque converter bolts to the flywheel of the engine, and it takes the power from the engine and puts it to the transmission. So I'm not going to go into a lot of depth in this video of how torque converter works. There's a ton of videos out there that talk about it. But basically, the torque converter is what allows you to come up to a red light and stop, separate the engine from the transmission while you're stopped, and then when you step on the gas, it hooks the transmission back up to the engine and you go, hopefully, if the transmission's good. So this is what we're doing to fix these things. Okay, so this is the vehicle right here, and we just finished installing a nice, pretty, remanufactured transmission in this car. They come with good warranties. This particular one comes with a 3-year, 100,000 mile warranty. Lasts a nice long time. They work pretty well. As you can see, this transmission has 2 pans. It has a side pan and has a bottom pan. And we recommend, as far as servicing these things, you can take off your bottom pan right here, and inside the bottom pan is a transmission filter. Of course, you replace that, and the pan is siliconed on. There is no gasket, even though some transmission kits, or filter kits I should say, will have gaskets, but the factory comes with silicone. So we just silicone them back and we put new fluid in them. That's about all you can really do as far as servicing these things. Okay, so this is the torque converter right here. This is what it looks like when it's out of the car. And this part that goes into the transmission, and the back part right here bolts to a flex plate, or some people call it a flywheel, on the engine. Now, we cut these apart, or we did at one time, and rebuild them. We don't do a lot of it anymore, but we used to cut them all apart at one time and rebuild them. And when you cut these things apart, you'll see that inside of them they have a clutch. Okay, so I took the cover off, and what I see a lot of times is the clutch down inside the cover right here will wear out. I'll shine my light on you where you can see this clutch will actually wear out. And when that clutch wears out, this lining will get trapped in the transmission filter, and when that happens, when it gets trapped in the transmission filter, you get a high-pitched whining sound, and the car will be starving for fluid, transmission I should say, will be starving for fluid, and it won't move. And sometimes you can shut it off and let it sit for a few minutes, and everything settles back down, and you crank it up, and you go. And you think you're okay until it happens again. The filter gets stopped up from the clutch of the torque converter, and guess what? You don't move. So I've been on many road tests over the years where I'll get the car where it won't move, I'll just shut it off, I'll let it sit for a few minutes, and I'll get it back to the shop before it happens again, and I know that I have internal problem with a clutch in the torque converter or in the transmission. This particular one has it in the torque converter. As far as what the rest of the converter looks like, it's pretty much plain and simple, just a lot of fins, and this is what actually connects the engine to the transmission. Okay, so we're seeing quite a few of these things in the shop. Maybe because there's a lot of these cars on the road. Maybe because they just fail a lot, I don't know. But this is one right here that we replaced today. It's getting ready to be shipped back out to the manufacturer. This is another one that we've done recently, and we're ready to return it back to the manufacturer so they can rebuild it. Sometimes they come in a pallet. This particular one came in a box. And we have another one over here. Sometimes they'll come in a crate. So for this particular day, we have 3 of these things that we're doing. Okay, so what can you do as far as preventive maintenance so you don't have these issues? About the only thing you can really do is service these things on a regular basis, taking the transmission pan off right here and changing the filter in it and fluid. This one is a front wheel drive, which means that the transmission is connected to 2 axles, one on each side of the car. It drives the front wheels. The difference between that and a rear wheel drive is a rear wheel drive. I'll take you over to this other car here. This is a rear wheel drive. It's got the same kind of transmission in it. So actually we have 4 of these things in the shop. And it has a transfer case on it right here. And then of course it has a drive shaft, which we don't have in the car right now, but you can see where the drive shaft hooks up right here. And it runs along back to the rear differential right here. And that makes it an all-wheel drive. The other van we just worked on, I'll bring you back over to that. You can see it doesn't have a rear differential in it. So it's just a front wheel drive. And that's the difference between front wheel and all-wheel drives. So anyway, that's the scoop on these things. They're good vehicles. They do have transmission concerns. We've been putting remans in them. They work really well, and they give a lot of service. I've seen these things come in as high as 300,000 miles before they have failure. I've seen them come in as low as 60 or 70,000 miles when they have failure. So it just depends on the driving conditions, where you're at, your climate, you know, what kind of life it's had, so to speak. But anyway, service them up, get them checked regularly, have your fluids checked, things of that nature. If you have failure, the best option that we're seeing at this time is to have them rebuilt or have a remanufactured unit installed. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe. Have a good day.